I'm Jeff. My pronouns are he, him. What are your pronouns?
Oh! What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and just giving a brief update on all the insanity going on around Starfield. Look, the reviews are out. They're overwhelmingly positive, and as somebody who has consumed many hours of gameplay online, listened to many people's opinions that I trust, it's still a game that I'm strongly considering playing once I get through my backlog, which is only about 15 games deep that I've purchased and never opened. That said, Bethesda, the Fallout series, they make really popular games. That's undeniable. The discourse around the wokeness, the requirements of pronouns has continued to ratchet up, mostly because of content commentators like myself who feel the politicization, making video games political is kind of what we talk about. So you have people on the left, like Hasan Piker or maybe the Act Man, pretending like it's no big deal whatsoever. And then you have people who oppose that ideology, maybe in the center or on the right, who are saying, oh, it's a slippery slope. This is exactly what they're doing. Obviously, the truth is somewhere in the middle, but I have a hilarious update about the pronouns in general that is definitely going to make you laugh. If you enjoy my coverage, by the way, please do hit that subscribe button down below. I do 4 to 5 videos a day covering not just video games, but also tech and news issues, and I'd love to earn your subscription and or follow. Articles like this is what inflame everything. Idiots are freaking out over Starfield's pronouns. We SJWs are a menace. We demand that video games bend to our whims and refuse to play anything that doesn't adhere to ideologies. If anyone resists, we kick and scream like babies until we get our way. We are unrelenting and overall just incredibly unreasonable, even childish. So thank God for our opposition. A bunch of people crying over Starfield's character creator screen. This is hyperbole. This is to pretend that there wasn't a massive boycott and counter boycott for a game like Hogwarts Legacy just a few months ago. This is very common with mainstream video games when people are more sensitive now than ever to immersion breaking modern day politics being in their video games. Look, I have said before and I will say again, the stupid pronouns thing to me is dumb. I know it's dumb. You might think it's not a big deal, but at least we can agree that, hey, life is short, and if you really want to play the game, then you shouldn't rob yourself of that. You shouldn't feel guilty. There are plenty of other things to boycott, so you can't fight a war on all fronts. If you really were looking forward to Starfield, there's no problem playing it. I don't think you're a lesser human being because you're playing the game, especially if you just acknowledge that, hey, this is something cringe and dumb and political. But hilariously, they don't even do anything. This is exactly what I've always talked about with this. You might have heard the term virtue signaling. This is exactly that. So it turns out that now woke people are complaining, I picked they, them with a feminine frame and a masculine walk. Played 25 hours and multiple times. Characters have referred to me using woman, girl, or she. Just disappointing. And oh, my character's name, Chase, has never been said by Vasco. I am disappointed. So, for all of the hullabaloo about the pronouns in the game, now people who are pro pronouns are self-validating and important are mad because Starfield doesn't even do anything with them. And that's always been my point about these huge companies. They don't care about you. They don't care about social justice issues. Yeah, they all make their icons rainbow colored for the month of June, but then they throw them in the trash in the month of July. Corporations exist to sell you things, and if pretending to care about the LGBTQ community sells more things, then they're going to do that. Okay, that's just literally every major, especially publicly traded company. Blizzard, for example, is a company I deeply hate, owned by Activision. I still love World of Warcraft, warts and all, knowing that the company is pandering constantly to its customer base. If you feel warmed up by a corporation saying something you want to hear, the reality is they don't care. And that goes for people on the left and the right. We just saw this big thing. If you're on Twitter, you know Liberty Safes, right? We're a pro 2A safe company and we're blah, 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 blah. But when it came down to it, they had back doors installed and set up in all of their safes, which is probably true of most major safe companies. And now they're receiving tons of backlash, okay? Bud Light is another example. I'm going to say this during Pride Month, and then after Pride Month, I'm going to pretend I care about the military, and then after the military, I'm going to pretend I care about Christmas, and after Christmas, I'm going to pretend none of it matters. These corporations don't actually care. And that has really been the mission of my channel for the past 15 years, practically. I've been making YouTube channels on this channel for almost 10 years now, I think. I've always said, look, make your purchasing decision based on whether or not you believe the product is good, not whether or not you think the company gives a dang about you, because they don't. By the way, a lot of people are asking me in my comments what PC I use. I guess I forget when I talk about gaming, I get a lot more gamers. Well, I use Meta PCs. It's the laptop I use. It's the computer I use. It's the computer I recommend to friends and family. And I'm also sponsored by them. I'm going to leave a link in the description. I put together this page with them of kind of like a good, better, best, Insano. Like the ultimate build is actually the computer I'm on right now. But you could also get their ready to ship stuff. You can build your desktop from the ground up, just like any other PC building company. They have laptops, financing. They're veteran owned, completely apolitical. They don't get involved in anything. So if you're in the market for a new PC, promo code The Quartering will save you money. And I will leave it in the description below. Now you have somebody like Hasan Abi, who is a fake communist. Again, it is his job to make everything as political as possible because it's part of his brand. The guy's a multi-millionaire who broadcasts to mostly 14-year-olds angry at the world and talks about how socialism is the real key from his, I don't know, what is it, $9 million, $5 million mansion in the Hollywood Hills, in his $200,000 Porsche. I mean, these are real things. He's a multi-millionaire. And they always deflect and say, well, communism is when no car. Well, no, but certainly you could redistribute some of that wealth instead of buying a luxury car that less than 1% of the planet could even think to afford, or a multi-million-dollar mansion in the Hollywood Hills, as opposed to living more modestly like a communist actually would. But that's neither here nor there. So he reacts to Heels versus Babyface, and it's a massive cope after Heels versus Babyface shows one of Hasan's most famous clips saying America deserved what happened to it back in September on the 11th back in the day.
For why we must bring back lobotomies. Well, Hasan, at least they would be able to lobotomize me. You, however, I don't think they would actually find enough brain cells.
Whoa, that's his counter? Okay, that was so much better. Oh, he's so funny. That got him. I don't even think he's saying I have a small head. He's saying I have a small brain, chat.
And if you don't...
I mean, it is a cope. You know, it's definitely a cope. And then he brings up the... That
America deserved 9/11.
Yeah.
Did you mean that?
Yeah.
Dude, no way. He used one of my highlights. Bro.
So he goes on to cope. But what's also interesting is the game's actually pretty good. According to the reviews. Here's what, again, people that I trust say. The first 10 and 12 hours are pretty slow. There's also some very valid complaints about exploration being extremely superficial. That while there are many planets that you can visit, they may look different, but they have like the same labs, the same loot, the same, kind of experience over and over again. Now, maybe this is, again, I think this is probably a symptom of having too much scope in your game. Scope creep is what project managers would call it. Too many planets, not enough time to populate those planets with really interesting things. And the kind of illusion that going to a planet is going to be like, let's say, you bring up World of Warcraft, or you might use that as an example. Each zone is extremely unique. The mobs, unique to that zone. The experiences, the NPCs are unique to that zone. Each zone has its own memories that you remember, that strike a chord with you. And Starfield doesn't necessarily have that in spades. Now, some people, I hear you in the comments yelling and screaming that I'm wrong. Well, that's okay. That's the beauty of this. So it's opening up to very good reviews. But again, the political stuff always kind of drags it down. You see Starfield community. The pronouns are just a minor feature, and they're not important. Nexus mods, which is the most important modding community out there for the most part, all anti-pronoun mods are banned. So, I mean, what's wild is people try to hold two ideas at the same time, that things are not a big deal. In fact, they are a big deal. And the Act Man has been taking a little bit of backlash here. And again, I don't have anything personally against him. We disagree on this one political issue. And he's kind of getting dragged over the coals a little bit. Of course, he's appealing to the leftist ideology, so he's getting lots of likes and retweets because that's what Twitter still is dominated with. But he says, people are acting like I've changed because of my take on Starfield discourse, but in reality, I'm doing the same thing I've done for years. Defending the video game hobby from people who project their own agendas into these games in order to villainize them on false premises. What's interesting about this take is it's so hilariously unself-aware, because that's exactly what people are complaining about. They're saying that forcing pronouns on players is injecting politics, in particular, your own political ideology that players must have pronouns and that they're important, into a video game. That's literally the complaint people are making. And it's just funny to me that he just does not pick it up. You see people pointing out, you're a sellout, just accept it. The internet doesn't forget. He had reviewed Knights of the Old Republic and said, please, God, don't give Revan non-binary pronouns. Bethesda thanks you for your service. I mean, a lot of people, you see here, Callum, a COD secretary, says, defending the video game hobby from people who project their own agendas into these games. Then why defend the LGBT ideology agenda being put pointlessly and lazily into the game? And that's what I'm talking about. That's how it proves that it's just an ideological decision. As I mentioned earlier in the video, they don't actually even change anything. They're there to generate headlines. They're there to, appease a few weirdos, but they don't even change the gameplay or the dialogue. They completely are worthless, and that's why it's important that you point that out. If they had actually proves that they don't care. If they had actually taken the time to make them work, that would be one thing. Oh, by the way, heel versus babyface, while everyone thinks they're dunking on him, has gained about 7,000 new subscribers on YouTube since the start of this. So I wouldn't say that that's been going well. And you see Asmongold revealing the biggest Starfield complaint, preventing him from enjoying the game. And this is similar to what I mentioned earlier. The real problem is that the world you zone into has 5 points of interest, and that's it, said Asmongold. It's exact effing thing. I went through that cave 3 gosh darn times. I felt like I was playing classic WoW again. So the problem isn't that you can't explore the entire planet. It's that you're an idiot if you want to. That's the problem. It's because there's no reason to go around and explore in Starfield. It's all the same stuff. I went to like 15 or 20 planets, and every single one of them was the exact same. It had the same monsters, the same areas, the same loot, the same combat, the same gameplay, and it was boring. He went on to blast Starfield's map, which has also received a lot of anger from wider community. What happened with the map? If they actually had, for the AI, for different soldiers and pirates in the game design map, joked the streamer, because that's the only way it makes sense to me. It can't be that stupid. I can't even believe it. A lot of the map complaints stem from a lack of overall information present that can prove particularly frustrating when players don't have a quest selected, as there are no point of interest markers. I think the game is, it's got, again, this is, it's just the scope got too big. Dr. Disrespect coming back in, blasting the people we talked about this. Some poor young people are just depressed, no life, no experience, completely misdirected by the internet. 100% agree with that. What do you think? Are you playing Starfield? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you made it this far, please remember to leave a like on the video. And if you haven't yet, please do click that follow or subscribe button down below. It's immensely important. It's extremely difficult to reach new people with search algorithms these days if you're not some major news outlet. And I would really appreciate your support. And we'll talk to you again real soon.